Hey all, I hope you're all well as you listen to this. Continuing to talk a bit of optimism. And one of the things that we've discussed to this point, just to sort of catch you up very quickly, is the idea that optimism is, about events that happen, the feelings you have about them, and then uh, the thoughts that follow from that. And we've discussed two different categories of thoughts. One has been based around time, the likelihood that you expect an event or a similar event to happen again. The second one has been all about environment, the people, place, location that you're in when things are, when the event has happened, what kind of thoughts you have about that. And the last category is all about yourself. What do you think about yourself? And I'm sure everybody can think of a time when they were in a bad situation. Again, in this context, a bad situation is a time when you felt really bad about what happened, and feeling a strong sense of guilt or blame or anger or sadness or whatever, and then thoughts following where you sort of play over in your head over and over again how it was your fault. I had a moment in my career when I got fired. And for me, that was a time when I both was able to hold in my mind that I thought the reasons for that were totally unfair. And at the same time, my mind kept working on how it was my fault. Okay, and that's a good example of pessimistic thinking. This is always a tricky topic when I bring it up, but when you're in a bad situation, a situation that's eliciting some negative emotion in you, it is actually useful to depersonalize it. Now, often when I'm talking about that, people get concerned, particularly in an athletic environment. They want to talk about accountability and all that kind of stuff. And really what I'm talking about here is it's not very useful to continue to beat yourself up about how it's your fault in terms of future improvement, right? In fact, ruminating on what you did wrong, it's always good to evaluate, to do a quick sort of sense like what went wrong and fix it. But in terms of thinking over and over again as a repetitive process about your mistakes, it's very not useful. So you want to be able to depersonalize that. And the simplest way to be able to do that is even even if you're feeling a strong sense of responsibility for what happened, you can say it's not all my fault, right? It's hard to think of any situation where it's all your fault, something that happened. So that, in many ways, has been useful to me as a good, honest perspective in some of those situations. At the same time, with you want to be able to capture some good events. And this is something I see people in an athletic context really struggle with, is that they have that really good big moment and they actually do the opposite of what it takes to capitalize on that, and that is they seek to distance themselves immediately. So I talk to coaches who, work their butts off and they put so much effort into coaching a kid. And then when the kid does really well, their first thought or their first out loud thought is, well, they did all the hard work. And that's true that they did a lot of hard work, but to immediately distance yourself from it is actually not that useful. It's good and it's very uncomfortable, but it's good to learn to give yourself some credit when things go well in your life. In so doing, you're going to be able to build up a reserve for really tough moments. Okay, because if you're blame when you're in a bad situation, and you're no credit when you're in a good situation, your trajectory is like this mentally. You want to be able to build up some of that reserve. Okay, so that is the whole frame of optimism. So my last task for you, if you're listening to this, you want to do a little bit more, is to start thinking about situations where you get a positive emotion, negative emotion, and what kind of personal thoughts follow from that. Hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you tomorrow.